So the Premier League is finally back after months of waiting, and so is my depression, okay? Because already we've got Villa playing like they've never seen a football in their life before. My FPL is already in the mud on week 1, and Man United fans are actually happy. So to start us off, let's talk about the first game of the Premier League season, Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Now I'm going to try and make this one quick because I'm going to be honest, I didn't actually watch this game. I've decided to stop paying £30 to Sky Sports and BT every month, because in all honesty, it's a rip-off at this point. From what I saw of the game, it did look a good game. Obviously, the main story was about Semenyo, who single-handedly pulled his team back into the game to make it 2-2. 2 amazing goals. This goal on the transition, absolutely incredible. What a baller. Honestly, though, Van Dijk has to stop doing this thing where he runs away from the player on transition. Listen, bro, you're not going to stop this guy with the force, okay? Just accept that you might lose that dribble pass stat and put a foot in. Game did end 4-2 to Liverpool though. Goals coming from Chiesa and Mo Salah right at the end of the game. I'm going to be honest, Liverpool, they looked lucky to win this. You know, I spoke to my mate who's a big Liverpool fan. He said they got lucky with that one. They still looked good, you know, all the new boys looked sharp. Yeah, it was a good game to start the season off. And then we move on to the game of the century, Villa versus Newcastle. I'm going to make a long story short, okay? This game was an absolute clown show. Newcastle were clearly the better side, but they just couldn't put anything away. And Villa, it looked like at times they couldn't even string 2 or 3 passes together. But absolutely dominated by Newcastle's midfield. Tonali, you know, he ran the show. Offensively, Newcastle were very strong as well. Like, they gave us absolutely no scraps to feed off. You know, to be honest, at the end of the day, I'll take a point from this because we were lucky to not lose it. Newcastle had Isak. We would have lost this like 4-0. I'm not even joking. We looked so bad. There are some positives though. There are some positives to take from this game somehow. The new backup keeper, massive upgrade on Olsen because, you know, he can actually catch a ball. I can't remember his name. Is it like Bizetz? I don't know. He comes from Brest, a team I'm a big fan of. So, you know, I'm surprised I don't know him. But he looked sharp. He looked great. He might actually add some competition to Martinez. So, like, this performance isn't going to be enough to, you know, throw Martinez out of the starting lineup. But it's great to have a second choice keeper can rely on and have confidence in. Because I remember, like, every time Martinez went off, like the last 2 or 3 seasons, and we had Olsen. Every time Martinez went off and we had to put Olsen on, my word, bro, everyone was groaning around the grounds. We knew that we were not coming away with a win when Olsen was in goal. I'm sorry, like, the bloke seems nice, but he just couldn't cut it. So it's nice to have an upgraded backup keeper. I think that's a positive to actually take from the game. But also, like, everywhere else, we were pretty flat. Like, I wasn't at the game, I watched it on TV, but from what I heard, you know, Villa Park was quite flat. You know, Unai made like 1 sub, I think, the whole game. He brought Malen on. And I think Malen should have started. I'm obviously not the gaffer, but Malen's a very talented player. And, you know, Watkins has been known to mess a lot of shots up. Malen seems to be getting in better positions when he comes on, actually testing the keeper more than Watkins. Well, I have no idea why he's not starting. I actually feel bad for the guy. You know, he's coming from Dortmund, didn't get into the Champions League team, and now he can't even start a Prem game. Like, what's going on? It was all around, like, for Villa, it's all around just like a very disappointing start to the season, especially since we haven't had like that good of a transfer window, especially right after we lost Ramsey. So it's a big shame to lose him, to be honest, and I think that's like really damaged the morale of the team. You know, I saw after the game, like, Mings and McGinn, they were talking about how they were annoyed that he's gone. By the looks of it, it doesn't seem like Ramsey wanted to move on, which is fair enough. And to be honest, like, with the summer transfer window and this first game against Newcastle, I am quite worried for the rest of the season. Like, I obviously, you know, I don't think we're going to be like in massive trouble where we're going to be like getting relegated or anything, because, you know, we have too much quality in the squad to go down. But at the same time, I think we're going to struggle a lot in the fight for Europe. We're going to be just fine in the league. We're going to come around mid-table, I reckon like 8th or 9th, solely because of how our summer transfer window's gone. And it's not even the club's fault at the end of the day. You know, they genuinely, because of the rules, they just can't spend the money that they have and would spend, but they can't because of the rules. It's basically the bottom line of it. The FFP rules are holding Villa back. And that's why I'm worried for this season. Yeah, if I had to rate this game, I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. Like, it was a boring watch. And I think it basically says how both of our seasons are going to go. Newcastle, they're probably going to play well and not going to have the quality up front that they had last season, especially if Isaac is never going to play for them again. For Villa, I just think it's going to be a pretty flat season. I think a lot of the morale of the squad has been lost, especially after losing Ramsey. I feel like a lot of them, even the manager, are going to get a bit sick of like all the FFP rules, having to constantly sell to try and like compete. Yeah, first game of the season. I'll take a point either way. We've still got our home records. It's not the end of the world. I just would have liked to have seen us play a bit better football. So I'm going to quickly go over the other games there were this weekend. Obviously, the other game were the 3 o'clock kickoffs. First, we have Brighton versus Fulham. This was a 1-1 draw. I mean, this is pretty much as expected. The easiest scores to predict are like mid-table teams, and like I expect Brighton and Fulham to draw 1-1 every time they play. I was happy to see Munoz score. This is a guy I bought on FIFA career mode, for years in a row. Very underrated player. I think these two teams will be fine. They'll probably finish mid-table, both of them. Sunderland versus West Ham. I'm going to tell you, I'm shocked. A 3-0 win from Sunderland, okay? This could either say that Sunderland mean business this year, or West Ham, are properly in trouble. I didn't watch the game, but I saw the goals and the highlights. I think Sunderland are going to absolutely go for it this season. They might actually have a better chance at staying up than Burnley and Leeds, to be honest. Happy to have them back in the Prem. I am a bit worried for West Ham, though. This could be the year they're in serious trouble. But, as I said, I'm happy for Sunderland. And 3, Burnley 0. From the highlights I saw of this game, Tottenham looked so much more organised than Ange. I was always an Ange in guy, I like Ange as a gaffer, not just because he's funny. I just think, he had the right mindset when it came to attacking football. But obviously, he lost way too many games in the Prem last season. And yeah, if I'm the board, I would have probably sacked him too, because, football is a results business. Yes, he won a trophy, and I think they should have kept him on for another year. But, in the grand scheme of things, when we look at it, he came 17th. Okay. And I think Thomas Frank has really improved their team. I mean, would have probably scraped this win 2-1. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, they look to be massively improved as well. Absolutely saved my FPL this week. Very happy I whacked him in there just before the deadline instead of Grealish. The next game, Wolves versus Man City. Man City 4-0. I did see a bit of this game, and I mean, Man City just look class. I've seen a lot of people with their Prem predictions this year writing Man City off. Let me tell you, never do that. They've added a lot of quality to the squad this year, and it's all young quality. It means it's just probably going to be another reign of Man City dominance from now on. They had an off year last year, but they still played good football. They still had a decent year. They got Champions League football. They came like 3rd. No, it's not a bad season. I'd absolutely kill for Villa to have that season, because their standards are so high and they didn't just batter everyone last year. Everyone's writing them off now. Don't do that. I think they're going to win the league this season. Their team looks great. Chelsea 0, Palace 0. VAR killed this game. Eze should have had the goal stand. Palace just absolutely robbed here. Chelsea have made some good signings, but again, they might struggle. I don't think Maresca is that great of a coach, to be honest. So it's early days, we'll see. I also think Palace is going to be just fine. Probably going to win the Conference League, to be honest, especially if they keep Eze. But that's looking more and more unlikely. Nottingham 3, Brentford 1. Chris Wood back on the score sheet. Great player. If I'm being honest, I mean, everybody's saying Brentford's going to go down this season. Their squad has taken a massive hit of quality. Wissa's not playing. He's still at the club, but, he doesn't want to play because he wants to leave. Mbuemo's gone. Thomas Frank has gone. I think they could be in serious trouble this year, especially considering, they conceded those 3 goals in the first half. I would like to be proven wrong, because I do actually like Brentford. However, I do think they're in serious trouble. Forest, they're looking clinical again. I'm going to talk about the Man United-Arsenal game real quick, because obviously it was Arsenal 1, Man United 0. I did actually watch this game. Pretty much every game I watched this week had been an absolute snooze fest. I'm really annoyed. These are probably my 2 most hated teams in the league. I heavily dislike Arsenal for personal reasons. United just annoy me. Like they both have the most annoying fan bases in the league. But all things said, forget about all that. United looked better than Arsenal here. Now, I know Arsenal won the game, but United, I think they had a massive improvement over the summer. Obviously, because they spent almost, 300 mil. Cunha and Mbuemo, They look very good together. They look to be linking up very nicely already. You know, that's going to be a dangerous duo throughout the season. They're going to be scoring a lot of goals. United's going to be good this year. I think they're going to, you know, top 5, maybe. This was one of the weirdest games I've ever watched because, like, everybody who, like, came away from this game thought that Arsenal had been, like, underwhelming and United had been really positive. However, Arsenal were the ones who came away with the 3 points. In honesty, Arsenal were kind of disappointing. They weren't playing exciting football. You know, their new signings, I mean, Zubimendi was very solid. You know, that's a great addition to their midfield. But the worry there is, like, Gyökeres. Gyökeres had an awful debut. He's honestly moving like a Sunday League player. In fact, I've actually seen Sunday League strikers move better than Gyökeres did at Old Trafford. I don't know if he was rattled by the fans or, you know, he'd just been on the piss the night before. Something was very wrong. It wasn't a great debut. He's obviously going to score, but, you know, if I was an Arsenal fan, this would raise some questions. I'd be kind of worried. Also had an appearance from the greatest Arsenal transfer of all time, Madueke, one of the greatest players to ever play the sport. Don't know why Arteta keeps doing this. I don't know why he keeps buying Chelsea rejects, bro. It doesn't work. So again, Madueke made his debut and did exactly what he did at Chelsea, which is not a lot. Coming away from this performance, is Arsenal going to win the league? Short answer, no. They are not going to win the league because they're not making serious signings. They're actually playing career mode. Leeds United versus Everton. I did want to watch this game just to see Grealish. I did see that it was only a 1-0 win to Leeds and it was a penalty. And I think it's quite harsh, the penalty being given. I mean, obviously it's handball in the box. So at the end of the day, any VAR is going to look at that and be like, you know, it's handball in the box at the end of the day. Or it's just unfortunate positioning from Tawalski. Is that how you say his name? Tawalski? I struggle with a lot of names. Just unfortunate positioning. By the sounds of it, though, it doesn't sound like Everton played that well. Like, if I look at the stats, only 1 shot on target. You know, Leeds absolutely went for it. 21 shots in total. To, you know, in every stat, Everton seemed to have been battered there. So realistically, it seems like it's same old Everton despite their signings. So yeah, that's all the games this week. I'll see you next week for game week 2. Thanks for coming along, everyone. See you later.